Hey everyone, this video is a test video in which I plan on curating Realm Royale focused educational content. This particular video will focus on my decision making and fight tactics primarily, but when I see something I will mention mechanics as well. I'm new to this, so all feedback please leave in the comments of this video or the Reddit post. I hope you enjoy. So the reasoning I'm choosing Old Manor for my drop in this game is because the blimp was quite close to it, so that I know a lot of players like to drop early on, so you can land in places close to the blimp in the beginning in order to get a lot of kills. So the Old Manor itself, though, the reasoning why I would choose it over Crossing or Northport in this case is due to it has a very, very large amount of loot, and the area that I drop at has a very concentrated amount of loot while still being close to the forge. So being close to the forge gives me the advantages of most players will revolve around the forge. So if I'm able to get a lot of loot very early on and then sit around the forge and find players that way through other fights going on and leeching off of those potentially, I can amass myself a large amount of loot early on and then forge to top it off in order to rotate on. That's the normal dropping process, but Old Manor itself I'm choosing because of that high concentrated amount of loot as well as how many players drop here. That specific drop location is right here by this statue. It contains an epic chest which I'm lucky enough to get a slug rifle out of, and then I'm able to walk over and loot this chest as well. If necessary, on the right side of these stairs there's a potion chest in case you ever take damage, but I hear a fight going on over here, so I immediately go towards it and I'm able to clean up a kill with an instant headshot. The second kill here, I try to chase this hunter. So my plan here is that I know the hunter's right outside. I know I have a slug rifle, and an epic slug rifle. So the way I engage this fight is to just walk right in. There's not much the hunter can do this early into the game that I have to play too caution with. I walk right through the doorway. I'm looking to thrust and get free shots off before the hunter can really adjust their aim to take care of me. I do just that, and I'm able to get one shot off, but the hunter plays it well, rolls away, and I have to take cover for a moment. Unfortunately for the hunter, they've taken enough damage to where they've now walked into range of my turret and have now been chickened. Well, that's unfortunate for them. To reiterate the reasoning for me choosing to thrust up and use the slug rifle is that the slug rifle has no bloom in midair, making it the ultimate engineer weapon for really any situation. The slug rifle itself is very good in the hands of every other class, but with engineer specifically it's unbelievably strong due to that thrust ability and how it works with the slug rifle. You could say the same about the warrior's leap, especially in its current state. In its older state it was actually more difficult to hit slug rifle shots in mid-air while you're just like flying around full control. When your control is a lot more focused on warrior, you can actually hit shots easier in mid-air. At least that's how I see it. In this downtime, I'm simply cleaning up the shards of the kills that I've already gotten. In fact, right now, my E key is broken. I'm able to fix that by reading in chat. Fixed it right there. It's about this time that I hear another player in the direction that I'm running towards. So I take the fight, but he gets the early shots off. But I use the same sort of mechanic where I thrust to engage the fight. I'm able to get one free shot off, and I use corner peeking on this ledge in order to get my last shots off. So right here I hear nothing. However, at this moment I hear a footstep. I turn around and start healing because I don't want to go into this fight low HP. I hear him walking around to the left, but I'm not 100% sure he's going to the left. So what I do is that I place my turret down here, which should cut off this angle. I believe that most players, when seeing the turret, won't just shoot it, and walk forwards. That gives away their location. Having this area denial with the turret allows me to predict his movements a little bit more, and using that, he does commit to the left, and I can very obviously hear it here, so I actually pre-throw my fire grenade, and he's walked right into it, and using that, I thrust to engage once again and get free shots off until he has been chickened. A lot of players would have chosen to loot right there, I feel like, but it's very important after you kill someone that you make sure you're fully prepared to fight someone else, especially when it's still early game. You don't know who dropped, and you don't know what they have, and you don't know when they're going to peek you. A lot of times in the early drops, players will play too they'll play too confident, and they'll get their chicken, they'll get their kill, they'll start looting it, and they don't think about the fact that there's other players that were waiting to leech off that kill, especially if they have less than ideal loot. They will be looking to take you out after you've killed someone else, because presumably you should be weak. It's very important to make sure your weapons are reloaded. So here, the mage starts shooting at me once again. I was confident that I could sit out there. He shot at me with an heirloom rifle. I was confident that I could sit out there, finish looting, and react to his shots. I wasn't worried about getting insta-killed or anything by this mage. I almost stayed out there just to bait him and get the info. So I returned fire. Hopefully, a lot of times, if you aim head level and spam a spot where someone was just shooting at you with a slug rifle, 9 times out of 10, I swear you'll get a headshot on them, and that'll really put the fear in them. But unfortunately, that was not the case this time. Right here, I actually overpeak and stand still for a moment and then take my shot. The hope is that here is when you're third person peeking an opponent, if we were talking in the mage's perspective here, they see that I'm standing still for a moment and then they'll peek to take the shot, but I've already taken a shot before they can do that, and then I strafe back. It's not how it ended up in this fight, but that's a little tactic you can use in the future. Here, I know my stuff's almost done. I say screw it. I just throw a Kobe at this guy, and it was actually a nice landing. It burns him just a bit. But I know that I'm not going to take the fight to this guy, and I'm not going to leave my items in the forge. Right there, my choice of turret or legendary totem should be obvious. I don't see why you would use turret on engineer unless you have no other options. Turret's unfortunately not the greatest ability right now, and despite it actually delivering me a kill earlier in the game, I would still much prefer the legendary totem. A fun fact about the legendary totem is that if you place it down and thrust up in the sky, and as long as you're staying over where the totem is, you will still get the healing. So you could be 3,000 feet in the air above this totem, and you're still getting healing from it. So it's very useful to utilize that when you are in an engagement where you need the health, and you think you can take the chance to thrust up without taking damage. You will get healed while you do that. Right here, I actually hear the mage on the left. What I do is that I throw my fire grenade so that I can cut off that doorway. So the mage has 2 options here. The mage can strafe back to the right where I'm heading towards, or the mage can go further left around the fire. And either option I'm okay with. I'll get there. But cutting off that angle prevents him from pushing me, at least from that angle. And allows me also to push up. I see here he uses his ability. I use thrust to engage and hit just a fat headshot, and that pretty much spells the end for him. Something I forgot to mention that I just did there, and we'll look at it again, is that I jump at the same moment that I mount. In most situations, this doesn't really do anything other than maybe move your hitbox a bit. Sometimes if you're on a balcony and you jump at the same time as mounting, you can actually jump over the ledge in the mount animation. The way that you do this is press your mount key first and then press spacebar immediately after. If you press spacebar first and then your mount key, you'll jump forwards and then you'll start the mounting animation. You would like to press Z or your mount key first and then jump, and it's a little bit forgiving, so it doesn't have to be immediately after. You should be able to figure out that mechanic on your own pretty quickly. So right around here, I was shot at. I didn't see any bullet trails in the video, however I heard an assault rifle shoot behind me. Right there, when I jumped during the mount animation, I actually spotted him. So using that information, I know that he's actually stuck in a corner, and he's trying to run away from me, at least from his body language when I spotted him. So I throw a chance grenade to try to cut off his exit, and luckily enough for me, it does perfectly. He's currently behind the bush that I'm aiming at, and he cannot jump down from that ledge to try to leave because I have a fire grenade there. I use the thrust to get a little bit more insight on where he is, a little bit more information, and I'm able to spot him and take a shot, and I hit the first body shot. And at this point, I almost guarantee myself this win. This player, at least from the way I've seen it, I already have initial damage. If I push forwards, I have a legendary healing totem. My thrust is coming back off cooldown. Everything's playing in my way. Use a smoke grenade, and I actually run straight forwards here on my mount to bait his shot. I run in a straight line here, and I'm not sure it really means anything because he's playing without a sniper rifle at this point in the game. But then immediately juke backwards the moment he starts firing, and that really threw off his aim, and I'm able to quickly clean him up. Something that I would like to point out now is that I had the potential to craft my class weapon there. Or even I could have crafted a regular weapon with 1 chicken and 120 shards. However, personally, and this is completely personal preference, I've seen plenty of players play well with the engineer class weapon, but I do not like how the engineer's class weapon plays. I just find it very inconsistent, and I would rather stick to weapons I'm more comfortable with. So I opt not to craft that weapon. But this actually gives me an advantage in that my shards go towards more abilities and more armor depending on how many forges I am able to go to that game. So it's a trade-off that may be worth it. Another thing I would like to point out about forges is that 9 times out of 10 I would prefer to make an ability rather than an armor if I'm over 90 shards, because I used to have the mindset that armor was better because you have a bigger health pool, you can fight more, but in reality the time to kill is too low for that to matter, and your abilities are really what carries you in a lot of fights, especially when you're running low on abilities like they are common, or you even don't have a necessary ability. It's just too much of a liability not to craft it. Normally I would rotate to Northport after Old Manor, however in this case I do not, as the circle is looking to be closing and there is no one forging. So I keep my eye on it just in case I see any players, however my eyes are set on crossing. Right around here, or maybe just before, I hear that there's actually a fight going on in this forge. Unfortunately from the video you can't see anything yet, but I choose to aggress. Of course, I'm looking for kills. So instead of what some players might do is they would roll up to this fence right here, like I'm doing, but they might sit there and try to wait for the fight and leech for the final kill. But in my opinion, I believe that you should be playing aggressive, and it's maybe a bit of personal theory here, but playing aggressive gives you more opportunities to attack other players, and in a game like this, it's very difficult to train yourself, especially with the recent questionable removal of deathmatch. So if you were to play it aggressive and take all kinds of fights, you know, you open yourself up to a lot more experience in situations. So that's not what I'm thinking about, obviously, in this moment. I'm all about aggressive play. So I decide to go in anyway. I want to take both of these kills. I don't want either of them getting a kill and then me cleaning up. I want both kills. And that's what I do. So to begin with here, I would normally look to go up those stairs and take off this angle. When approaching buildings of this manner, I think it's always a better strategy to take the stairs on the side and fight from that angle, because you have an easier path of escape and you are also on the high ground. Most players are going to be on that second floor. If you were to walk through the front door on the left, you would be limited with your options of escape and really limited with your options of attack as well. It's much easier for someone above you to get shots off on you, especially in third-person perspective. So immediately I use thrusts upon seeing this opponent, and luckily for me, he was low HP. It's an easy shot, finish. But I know there's one more player in here. A fun fact that I would like to point out, I always say fun fact, it's not really a fun fact, but a word of advice would be, when you just kill someone or finish a chicken and you know you're still in a battle, especially if you're low HP, make sure you pick up their armor upgrades, because that can be the difference between 0 health and 300, 400 health where you survive. Right there, it's right in front of my face. How do I not take the legendary gauntlets? You know what I mean? In a different situation, and when I was lower HP, it would have been more beneficial. In this situation, obviously, there isn't much risk to it, but it's something to think about during mid-fights. So he actually engages using thrust, a very smart play. It kind of catches me by surprise. I expected him to have been further deep in the forge. I had thrown my grenade because he had thrown his grenade, and I know that a lot of times in engineer and close range, it's a good idea to throw your grenade and run through it because you won't take any damage. Run through it and catch the opponent by surprise. So I threw my own fire grenade in there to possibly cut him off, but instead he decides to go for a more aggressive attack. I miss my initial shot, however, I follow up by thrusting when I know he's going to be falling downwards. It's a very, very, very easy shot for me in this case, and I hit the headshot, as well as the body shot on the way down. So here, I actually play a little bit over-aggressive. It wasn't very smart of me to do that, but I was feeling a little bit confident, so I took the risk. Going back to the plasma launcher, I decided not to pick it up despite it being readily available. Again, due to personal preference. I just don't find myself that great with the plasma launcher, and I don't think anyone else wants to see me using it. So here I decide there is plenty of shards available. I can get as many shards as I want, honestly, with how much is left here. And I don't have that much to craft. I've already begun my ability, and I've already begun my armor, and the only other really thing that I could craft is a weapon, but I'm not too worried about it. An epic slug is really enough for me to end this game on. And with how much time is left, there isn't really a need to, without taking excessive circle damage. So actually, I didn't realize it at the time, despite making it sound that I did, but the circle's closing on me and I didn't really notice. So what I chose here to do is, when sharding to get my last 200, I prioritized items that other players would be having their eyes on, you know. I prioritized the legendary items that other players would need. In this case, it really didn't matter. I doubt anyone came back into this circle for this loot. But in some cases, it might be important to think about instead of just going ham and sharding everything. There I chose to keep the nade barricade combo. In my eyes, this is the ideal engineer build. Some people would say that the totem is better than the grenade. However, I would like to disagree. The grenade allows me a lot more utility in that it is an area denial ability, in that only assassin and engineer really have something that can prevent others from using cover with abilities outside of their, I guess, their weapons, you know. The concussion grenade is really, it just explodes them out of the cover, you know. It launches them into the air. The fire grenade does something similar in that it pretty much locks them down to where if they chose to stay in that cover, then they are choosing to take the damage, and it really isn't worth it for them to, so they have to push out of that cover. I like that. I like the utility that brings, and the healing totem for me doesn't do that much because I like to play in a way that doesn't really net a lot of damage towards myself. I don't really take that much damage in most of these fights, as you've seen. I rarely go past my armor. This fight right here, I approach as I see this assassin, but I don't want to take the fight right now, especially not against an assassin. Taking that ranged fight is not smart for myself. I open myself up to taking sniper shots, and why would I take a ranged fight against an assassin who can easily use his mobility to escape? And any other class at this point can really use all of their mobility to escape. I wouldn't be able to confirm that kill, and since he doesn't know I'm here, I may as well use this element of surprise to get up closer to him. And I do just that. I stay mounted on him. I'm not sure why he's walking around. Here I catch up to him. I used all LOS that I could while I was on my way. Funnily enough, it looks like I completely whiffed this shot, but I hit. Used the grenade immediately after to displace him, hit another body shot, and then finish him off there. Very simple kill, very well executed as well. He never had the time. Something that really confuses me is that chickens get concealed by the smoke screen, so he actually evaded me there by being in his own smoke screen and then jumping off the cliff. But you know, that's an easy finish for me, right? Well, the floor took that one, and then he took the kill. I didn't even see him coming. So as anyone would feel in this situation, you're pissed off, okay? So I don't think I would normally approach a fight like this, but why not? Immediately pop down, headshot him, stand still, juke to the other side of my barricade, and finish him off. Using your barricade like that, if any of you have played Overwatch, Orisa is a character with a barricade pretty much exactly similar, and you can use your barricade and walk back and forth and kind of play a mind game with them, because they can't shoot through it, but you can. So you have all the room in the world to do whatever while still being behind cover. It forces them to walk close to you until your barricade is ended, and it's really just a great tool to win a fight. And as you can see there, he had no options. He tried to engage on me, but the barricade was in the way, and he has already taken 2 shots of damage at this point. He blinks to the other side of my barricade, but I easily juke back into it and take the shot to finish him off. Something I would like to note as my dude is walking around is that when mounting and rotating for circles, do your best to stay on high ground. I cannot stress this enough. It doesn't make sense why you wouldn't. You are on high ground. You can take fights easier from players below you, and you also see more distance, more information. Information is the most important aspect to a battle royale game. If you know everything, you really just can't lose. Unfortunately, you won't know everything, but you're putting yourself in a better position to know everything if you're positioning above everyone else. Something I would like to note about my path finding here is that I like to stick to the edges of circles, because not for the safety almost that it would give you feeling close to the edge of the circle, but because most other players are going to be on the edge of the circle as well, and you want to try to position yourself inside of the circle, but also between forges and the circle, because most players are going to be coming from the forge. Here you can see I'm positioning myself and looking out towards fungal. Something very important is when you're rotating, make sure you keep eyes behind you as well. A lot of times you'll find that people are mounted following you because they can't take the engagement early, and you're not turning around, you're always looking ahead. It's very important to look behind you. In this case, I did not find someone behind myself, but the fact still remains. Plenty of times I have. Another mechanical advantage when mounting is to jump, especially while going past houses. It conceals the footsteps of the mount, so it does make your approach a little bit more sneaky in most situations. Right now I'm hearing shots in the direction that I'm heading, so obviously I'm going to head towards them. And right here, well, actually right here, I find a mage just camping here. He's probably been hurt. I hit him twice and he's gone. Nothing much that poor guy could have done about that. Just caught him by surprise. So in the situation that we are looking at, there is one player down there, and there is one player above me. I'm choosing to stay close to the wall of the player above me because he cannot fight me. I will only have to deal with the angle of the player at the tree. Right here I actually spot out a chicken, and I'm able to clean that up a little bit. I'm sorry about the kill steal. That'll piss some people off. It pisses me off, that's for sure. So now I have the situation where there is a player on the mountain and there is a player on the tree. I choose to push up to the mountain rather than to the tree, as if I were to choose the tree path, the person up the mountain would have free shots onto me. Whereas if I choose to go up the mountain, I should be able to find cover easier. Unfortunately, the mountain player spots me out here. The tree player could have peeked and took shots in this fight, but he didn't, luckily for me. I'm sitting here trying to juke this guy. He ends up dismounting me, so I return fire. I'm able to hit him with a quick headshot and try to dissuade him from peeking me again as I try to get into cover. I timed this thrust towards the end of his barricade in the hopes that I'm able to get a nice clean shot off, but his turret actually blocks it, which is quite cute. I use this advantage though to try to take cover. Unfortunately, my jump there exposes myself a little bit more and he's able to get the shot off. I was assuming that he would maybe fall back and heal, but he instead tries to thrust up and take the fight with me. Here I thought that he pushed me, so I'm looking down close. I throw a fire grenade, but nothing, and then I see him there. So I take this moment while I'm out of line of sight of both mountain and tree player to heal up. It's very important that you keep an eye on your health and you make sure that you're fully healed up. I cannot tell you how many times when I was early on playing this game I made the mistake of just ignoring my health and going again. You know, when I'm playing Overwatch, I got healers healing me, you know what I mean? I'm playing DPS, I don't gotta worry about my health that much. But that is not the case in this game. You have to make sure you're healthy in nearly every engagement. I thrust up to try to get some more high ground to take a better advantage fight on this guy. He's not peeking though. But as soon as I mount up, I hear him groan. And I look towards the tree. In that moment, that tree player actually hit this guy, and I'm going to use that shot to my advantage to push him. As soon as I show myself, he thrusts up to try to catch me by surprise, but I'm able to hit the nice flick shot on the low HP target and finish him off. At this point, I see the tree guys trying to escape up the hill, Skyrim style. Take a couple shots to dissuade him, check the Zinji's body. You always want to make sure you take extra care when checking bodies of opponents that are the same class as you, because they obviously have your abilities, you know. I get the thrust, throw Kobe, and no success off of that. However, we'll keep moving. Right there, I actually take a hero landing, but I'm able to time my jump so that my movement is still carried forwards. It's not really that much of a improvement. I'm still kind of stuck in that spot, but it's still better than standing still. There's still the chance that someone might miss. This kill is done simply. I spotted him earlier. I spot him again at this rock. I thrust up, use my fire grenade to remove his cover, hit the body shot while falling. He then chooses to thrust up and take that similar fight, but I'm able to get the headshot and then the body shot to finish him off. Now at this point, it's a desperate hunt for the last player as I hear the shots and I'm moving towards them. It's 3 players alive, 2 down, but there goes 1. I'm able to get the nice shot on him. I'm able to open this fight with a nice body shot. I look for the fire grenade in order to cut off his turnaround shot, and he chooses to roll away, and then he invises. Something interesting is that until recently, when Hunter started getting more play, I didn't realize that Hunter's legendary escape through invisibility, I'm not sure what the name of the withdraw actually is a very long invisibility, and I wasn't really sure. I wasn't really knowledgeable of that at this point. I thrust it up to try to look for him when he's out of invis, and I couldn't find him. He finally reappears. I missed the shot. At this point, I know that I'm actually at a very good advantage. I have the high ground. He's used his cooldowns, so I'm going to re-peek with my barricade. So I peek out here on barricade, and he's gone again. I'm not really sure how, but this guy's like a ninja, so I peek back in case he's taking another angle. I'm not sure what's going on. I mount up to try to look around again, and I'm able to spot him. Oh, actually, sorry. I assumed that he was behind this rock. I threw my grenade, which gets deflected by the rock. He said no. I then thrust up, and he's not there. This guy is an escape artist. I have no idea where he is at this point. I spot him there, and then miss the shot once again. He misses his as well. But it's very important for me to keep pressing my advantage. Keep cutting off his cover, and keep my ground, you know? I can't play passive here and look for shots. I need to just have a presence, you know? I need to make space for myself and make less space for him. At the very beginning of this fight, while he was mounted, he didn't have much space, but he's able to use his abilities correctly in order to get space. But I need to take that back, and that's exactly what I do, one at a time with my grenades. Here, I see that he's still sitting in this area looking for a shot off on me. I barricade while I wait out the cooldown of my grenade, but I throw it. And then peek the right side angle because he can't peek the left. He uses his cooldowns once again to get to his last line of cover. And he uninvises there. I thrust up. 2 clean headshots. Go for the Kobe, a little bit low. That's alright, but really I can't lose. I have full HP, full cooldowns, you know. I go in one more time for the thrust, hit the body shot while he tries to heal, and then finish him off soon after. For the win. The Crown Royale. 14 elims. So guys, I appreciate you for watching this all the way through. If you have any suggestions, once again, I would invite you to leave a comment on the Reddit or in the comments below this post. This is my first attempt at an educational sort of video, so all feedback is seriously appreciated because I would like to contribute to this community for this game that I truly do love so far. I'm having a lot of fun with this video game. Thanks, guys. See you next time.